Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Diamonds and Rough podcast. I'm joined with Bobby. If you're on the YouTube, you can notice I have a light. You can see me now. And Bobby's also turned his light on. So you should be able to see us. Fantastic.
Perfect.
We're doing week 3 pick'ems. I need to do some explaining first because I went 0 for 3. Bobby went 1 for 2. He hit the Buffalo one. I think his other 2 are excusable.
I hit my biggest lock, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think my other 2 are excusable. Also, we did mention early in the week it's difficult, or early in the season it's difficult to predict. But I want to talk about mine. My lock was Seattle plus 9.5. I want to, if you remember, Bobby, I wonder if you remember, what did I say the only way this doesn't hit?
Oh God, I can't remember.
I said the only way it doesn't hit is if Jimmy G's the quarterback.
You're right.
And Trey Lance got hurt in the first quarter. And then it was done. We both had Baltimore.
Yeah. Lance looks bad.
Lance looks really bad. And now the Niners are Super Bowl contenders again.
With now a broken ankle.
Yeah, he's done for the year. The Niners are finally the Super Bowl contender.
Am I the only one, or is it giving me shades of Robert Griffin III? Mobile quarterbacks, horrific leg injury.
Well, this one's ankle.
Ankle's not great.
Ankle's really bad. But
thing.
The only difference is RG3 had success.
Yeah.
But so I'd like to kind of be excused for that because I said the way it would lose is if this happened, and that happened. Baltimore, we both had. They just absolutely choked. Like, I'm sorry, it happens. Miami scored what, 28 in the fourth?
Yep. That game was ridiculous.
They decided to let Tyreek Hill run past them. Like, I'm sorry. Sue me. And then I had Steelers, which,
Shame on you.
Shame on me. They were off by 1.5 points, right?
Got to be a believer.
I mean, the Steelers choked it too. They had like 3 picks they just didn't get. They decided
the punt return by
the punt return.
He was doing us a favor.
He's still loyal to the Pats.
But, hey, a win's a win.
My biggest win, not that this was game of the week, but Lions Redskins was entertaining.
It was fun. It was more fun than I gave it credit for.
It was fun, and I've decided I'm adopting the Lions this year. Because here's, would you agree every year you kind of pick a team that you're like, I do like to watch them?
So my dad sent me a definition a few weeks ago. And the word is in Frankenophile. It means somebody who is enamored with choosing the underdog. And that is who I am. I will root for the underdog 9 times out of 10 as long as it's not my team. I love like March Madness. I want the 16 seed to win every year. I don't care if I lose my brackets. I want to see the 16 seed upset every year. I want the lowest seed possible to win in the Elite 8 every time. I love rookies. That's part of the reason I adopt a rookie each year that I want to do well. This year it's Drake London. He's off to a great start.
He's been fantastic. He looks really good.
Lions, I'm fully on board. I will root for them with you.
And Will's also a Lions believer. We're Lions believers this year.
The bandwagon.
It's gonna be like week 15, and I pick the Lions spread again. But yeah, so Lions are like the team that I'm adopting this year. But so what I will say is our locks went combined 1-5. So we need to prove ourselves this week. To those listening, don't pick any of these. Don't put money on it. Let us prove ourselves, and then you can listen to us. And then if you listen to last week, the Derrick Henry bet not looking too good for me as Taylor Lewan is hurt, and clearly the offensive throwing game is a lot worse. So now defenses will stack the box at an alarming rate. So 1350 is looking tough. But I'm not going to dwell on it. We're going to get into the spreads. Starting with the Thursday night game, which is not a fun one. We get Chiefs, Chargers, and then there's this. Cleveland's at home, favored by 5.5 over Pittsburgh.
That's a big spread.
That's a big spread. I don't even know if Cleveland's going to win.
I agree.
So I
agree.
am going to go Pittsburgh.
This is one of my 3 locks. I think it's Pittsburgh plus 5.5. I would not be surprised Pittsburgh money line, but 5.5 seems like way too many points.
I definitely cannot go with a lock with Pittsburgh after last week, letting me down.
They played us close enough, and I don't think the Browns are much better, if at all better, than the Patriots.
Well, the Steelers defense is good. Like,
yes, it is. Even without TJ Watt, it is still a good defense. Regardless of what Aguilar did to Witherspoon, which was just criminal.
Yeah, it was disgusting. By the way, did you see TJ Watt has a headset on?
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
He's smart. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out there calling plays, calling schemes, making adjustments.
Be very smart of them. Mike Tomlin's a good coach. I've always respected him. I won't say liked him, respected him. All right, next game. Home opener. I'll be there. New England versus the Ravens. New England's getting 3.5. So plus 3.5 New England. I'll let you start off. What are you thinking?
I'm doing the same thing. It may be naive. It's homer bias, but Patriots plus 3.5.
When the Patriots are the underdogs over the Ravens, they do well.
Yes.
Beat them in 2020.
I like our defense just enough where I think we can contain Lamar a bit. I think he'll probably go off, but I don't trust the Ravens defense. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Mac hasn't looked terrible. He doesn't have the touchdowns, but he's thrown for the yards. He is throwing. So I'd like to see if Damian Harris is okay. I know he hurt his leg. Didn't look good.
Apparently he's fine. Completely fine.
Wow, that shocks me. I thought it was serious.
He was laughing after the game, post-game, laughing about it.
Okay, I did not know that. That's great. It looked horrible. I thought he was done.
Yeah. No, it was scary for me too.
So I think we have a good enough run game. I think we can chew a lot of clock, and I think the Patriots can cover.
To me, this is an absolute stay away.
Oh, completely. Completely. Last game, I would bet if you can put a gun to my head.
I am simply going Baltimore because after that choke, they're going to want it.
Or are they in their heads?
Could be, but I think Harbaugh's a good enough coach that he'll get them right. But we'll see.
And they're not a young enough team for that to be too prevalent.
Yeah, we'll see, Next game, Miami's home against Buffalo. Miami plus 5.5.
Stay away. Yikes. I gotta go Buffalo minus 5.5.
I have to go Buffalo as well. Because don't get me wrong, Miami could do it. They could win. But the way Buffalo looked their first 2 games, you have to believe they're going to win. And at that point, it's a touchdown is reasonable. It could be a field goal.
Last drive touchdown.
Yeah. So I would go Buffalo. But again, that's another stay away. So let me also write these down. You said Pittsburgh. That's one of your locks. Not your absolute one, but that's one of them, right?
Yes.
Word. Okay. I have none. All right. Jets at home versus Cincinnati. Jets plus 4.5.
I'll let you start on this one.
I am going Jets, believe it or not.
All right.
I think I also would stay away though, because it's completely possible the Bengals go in and win 38-10 and have all this anger and something, but the offensive line is horrendous. 13 sacks in 2 games. I also think
incredible that they made it so much better and it looks worse.
Yeah, I also think part of it's Burrow. There's a statistic that he is the worst at getting away from sacks. like by far.
Not pace to get sacked over 100 times.
Yeah, so I think part of it is him, but I also think part of it's their early O-line issues where he's gotten sacked and he's torn both of his knees up that he just isn't mobile anymore from laterally.
I think there's a
But-
chance that that line comes together as the season goes along. I mean, there is something like you need to trust the guys to either side of you on the O-line. They haven't played much together. They need to gel. They need to get used to what the other likes to do, their tendencies. So I think it could get better. Lyle Collins said that he would be Burrow's bodyguard when they signed him, and right now he's looking like Abe Lincoln's bodyguard at the Ford
I
Theater.
saw that
So
quote today again. I was like, oh
that had,
man.
oh yeah, no, that's I'm not sure you're allowed to say that, but I like it, so I'm gonna repeat it. So I think they'll get better. I have Bengals minus 4.5. I
Very
think it's
fair.
close. I think it's gonna be like you said, the anger. They aren't a bad team, and they look like one right now.
Is that one of your locks or no?
No.
Just because there could be some tomfoolery like last week.
They might win. They might not even win, but
Yeah.
I think they should win by a lot.
There's also just this Jets fan energy. It's at home. They're gonna be crazy after last week.
See, Flacco's making a case that he should be the starter.
He honestly, if the Jets were in win now, should.
Mhm.
But they're
But
not.
they're
So
a very young team. They need to develop.
Yes. Okay. Next game. Minnesota home. Minus 6.5 versus Detroit. You already know what I'm going.
I do. And even though I said I'm on the Lions bandwagon, I do think the Vikings win this one. I have it at 6, but if your line 6.5,
Yeah.
I think they win by more than 6.5 still. I don't think Justin Jefferson gets shut down again.
Oh no, he's gonna feast.
He cost me, I think, 3 fantasy matchups, so that wasn't fun.
I'm believing in Detroit, but I
Mhm.
acknowledge they can't cover anyone. So Justin Jefferson,
Okuda did well last week.
he did do well actually. That
He
is
shut
true.
down Terry.
Yeah. I low key like Washington too because of their wideouts, but those wideouts are actually good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm going Detroit simply because their offense, I think, is legit. And I think they can definitely score with Minnesota, which makes the line of 6.5 scary.
I agree. It is a big line.
Yeah. Okay. Chicago at home minus 2.5 versus Houston. So really a pick 'em because you think home is like is 3 points.
Yep.
So it's a pick 'em. This is going to be the least entertaining game. It might be entertaining, so it'll be so bad.
I was just about to say, it might be such a shit show that it might be fun.
Yeah.
Neither has a good defense, but neither has a good offense. So I don't know. I have the Texans. I think they win outright.
Interesting.
I think Davis Mills is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. At least right.
He definitely is. But here's something I've decided. The Houston Texans are absolutely not trying to win a game.
Not at all.
Which is why I'm going Chicago, because Chicago has proven to me that they are okay winning some games. Whereas Houston's like, win, we got to stay away.
I don't think the Bears are capable of winning. I know they have a win on their record, but that was in a hurricane. That was against Trey Lance, who I think is a bad quarterback. I don't think either team's able of winning, and one of them has to. It could end in a tie. It could.
So you're basically taking the points, and you're taking the points in case it's a tie.
Yeah, why not?
Honestly, that's a smart play. But I'm going Chicago. Just some about it. I don't know. Indy at home plus 6.5 versus Kansas City. I'll start this off. This is going to be my lock.
Same.
And I'm going KC.
Same.
Because Indy just has not shown me anything. And this is what I deem as Vegas's last ditch effort of will help you out in the sense of they're a good team. Here's a spread, so maybe you should bet on it. I think KC's going to win by 2 touchdowns.
I was thinking 3, but yeah, 2's
at least 2 is what I should say. Yep. So we both have KC. I don't know if it's my lock of locks.
It's not
but
mine.
it's the Chiefs' offense looks very good, and their defense also looks pretty good. Unfortunately, for anyone who bet KC on the spread, Herbert said, "Sorry, I have this fractured rib, but I'm gonna make this unbelievable throw to ruin
Yeah,
that."
one play before he barely throws it out of bounds. Next throw, absolute dot. To
Yeah,
some
he could have
unbelievable
ran it
receiver.
for a first, but just his
He
body
made it.
said, "I can't run," and then he made one of the greatest throws of the season so far.
Mhm. And that's why he's Herbert. That's why he's as good as he is.
So we both have KC as locks.
Yes.
Next, Tennessee's at home, +2.5 versus Vegas. Surprisingly, 2 0-2 teams.
Titans don't surprise me.
You thought they'd lose to the Giants week 1 at home.
Not necessarily, but I also didn't. It doesn't surprise me. Did I predict
Okay,
it?
that's
No, but it's
fair.
not surprising.
We
Is more
we
what I'm trying to say.
we both agree their roster is very weak, which is tough for me because I like the Titans. I always have.
When they traded away AJ Brown, I knew they were going to be bad because exactly what I thought was going to happen has been happening. They no longer have a proven receiver. Traylon Burks might be good in a few years. He has the same skill set, but I think it'll take him a bit. And they're just going to stack the box. Derrick Henry isn't King Henry anymore. He's a good running back, but you put 8 men in the box against him, he's not moving.
He can't.
He's not
do
outside
that
running
anymore.
Exactly.
Also, Harold Landry out for the year, their best pass rusher. That
it's unfortunate, but I
the
think
front
the Raiders,
7 relies on Jeffrey Simmons way too much. And yeah, I'm going Raiders.
the Raiders would have had a win last week. I thought they were going to win week 1 as well.
I almost want to call it a lock. I will TBD on that simply because the weakness of the Raiders is their secondary. I think the secondary can cover the Titans' weapons fairly easily.
Yep.
But so I might call it a lock, but not yet. This is also going to be a dumpster of a game. Carolina at home +2.5 versus the Saints. Remember, Jameis Winston is playing through a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, after what I have seen from Carolina, I cannot bet them. I just simply can't. So I'm going the Saints, and I guess hopefully the defense can figure out a way to score some points.
I have Carolina.
That's fair. It's just from what I've seen from them, it's just not good.
I think Baker's getting used to playing with McCaffrey. McCaffrey looked better week 2 than he did week 1. I think he'll look better week 3 than he did week 2.
Did McCaffrey's usage go up?
Yes, by a lot.
Okay, so you'd think that takes another jump.
Yep. He got 5 more carries and same amount of receptions. So 5 more touches. I don't know how many targets. I don't have that readily available, but it's going up. I think he's going to get more used to throwing to him. I think he's going to get more used to checking down to him. I think it takes time to develop a rapport with your receivers. I think DJ Moore and he haven't been on the same page yet, and I think that'll start clicking.
Actually, you know what? I'm switching to Carolina simply because I remember they started off with 2 fumbles that gave Giants free points.
Yep.
It's tough for me to expect that to happen again.
Yeah. So.
And Winston, I don't know why they're even playing him. I mean,
Taysom Hill was taking, I think, like 10% snaps or something. Like,
yeah.
Not a great amount, but enough where it's like, that's concerning.
Yeah.
He's their leading rusher. Kamara's done nothing through 2 weeks. I know he didn't play last week, but he did nothing week 1 either.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of pain as well. He has the same injury Herbert has.
Yeah, not fun. Although Chris Olave looks pretty good, which kind of surprised me.
Thomas looks solid.
Yeah. Next up, Washington at home +6.5 versus Philadelphia.
This is my lock of locks. Eagles.
Okay.
By like 3 touchdowns.
Really? I thought you were gonna say Washington.
Jalen Hurts looks like a top 5 quarterback right now.
I'm gonna need to take the L.
From Michael
I'm gonna need to take the L on that Jalen Hurts thing. I've been negative on him, but the improvements he has made has turned him into what I would consider that guy. Uh, also, he is a great teammate, locker room guy, leader,
Mhm.
and that
You could tell
honestly,
that when he got benched by in Alabama for Tua. You could tell he was okay for winning, and that's a huge trait. And
that's
I was
honestly,
always sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's almost more important um of being a quarterback than like your skill is if the guys believe in you and the guys trust you. That's just the first step, and he has that.
Mhm. So I was always TBD on him, in my opinion. I thought he was a really good rusher, but like Josh Allen, he needed to develop his passing game, and he's done that. So I think he is very talented, and he looks like prime Michael Vick. That's ultimately what it comes down to right now. He
Yeah.
is an absolute threat on the ground, and if you stack the box and take away a piece of the secondary, he will hurt you through the air.
I'm also joining you on it being a lock. I haven't decided my lock of locks, but it looks really good. The only reason 6.5 is scary is because Washington loves to come back. That is the only reason.
Yeah.
But that the Eagles secondary also looks good. Darius Slay is trying to be the one of one corner this year because I would argue that slot's open after Diggs absolutely torched Jalen Ramsey. You could argue it's open and that there's potential. Also, Drake London doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not a knock on Ramsey. Corners usually have 2 to 4 years of like elite success, and Ramsey's done it his whole career. It's natural he might be aging a bit and not as good. So Darius Slay wants that, and he looked amazing Monday night. So I'm also having Philly as a lock. We have Chargers at home -7.5 versus Jacksonville. So there's just one question about this game, and that's Herbert. Keenan Allen, right? It's the other one.
Yep.
And honestly,
that they can still win, but Herbert 100% is the biggest question.
Jacksonville kind of looks good. A little bit.
Yeah, they do. Chargers -12 though, but yeah.
So you're going Chargers.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Herbert plays. He's tough.
Can you guess what the tickets are starting at for this game? Like ticket prices?
No. I can look at it.
No, I see it. It's tickets starting at $22.
Yeah, I mean Los Angeles doesn't have fans.
I know, it's sad. Like LA is also a lot of money to live there. But I don't know. Screw it. I'm going Jacksonville.
All right.
Final last words. Like
I'll be wearing my Chargers jersey on Sunday.
All right. Game of the week contention here. Seattle -1.5 over Atlanta. Seattle's home.
No, stop picking these shitter games as your picks of the week. I hate it.
No, I'm not picking this for game of the week, but I think similar to Chicago versus Houston, it's going to be so bad it'll be good.
And no, this
And
one's just gonna be so bad it's bad.
Look, man, Mariota is actually looking all right. He'll have like 2 plays to every 1 bad play, but the good plays, you're like, if I didn't see all the bad plays, I think he's a legit QB.
I mean, I think Atlanta wins. I just
I'm
don't
going
think it's
Atlanta.
Game.
I'm going Atlanta. Yeah. Probably my lock of. I'm kidding. All right, moving on. Tampa Bay at home -2.5 versus Green Bay. I'm going Tampa. Tampa has that elite defense, and I think Green Bay still kind of struggling with, their wide receiver issue with the Bears. They could just run it with their elite running back group. Tampa Bay is going to take that away and make you throw to Romeo Doubs and Sammy Watkins and Lazard and Watson. I think they're going to have a tough time scoring. Tampa Bay's only given up 6 points this year.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very obviously Tampa Bay as well.
And you know what? I'm going to make it my lock of locks.
I was considering it.
Tampa Bay is going to be my lock of locks, although -2.5 does almost scare me from it.
I think
I
it's just
just-
Rodgers. I think they're just giving Rodgers credit for being Rodgers, and that's not who he is anymore.
I just look at what do they
Not
score?
with this receiving
7?
core.
7 against Minnesota.
Mhm.
And Philly made Minnesota look like a really bad defense. And the offensive struggles from Tampa last game, that's just New Orleans. Brady just can't figure it out. I don't know.
Hey, you got the win.
He got the win, but he just can't figure it
ugliest
out.
Defense carried.
But Brady's going to be looking better as the games go on. So I'm going Tampa as my lock of locks. 3 games left. Arizona at home, +3.5 versus the Rams.
Rams -3.5. Easy.
I'm going Arizona.
Wrong.
Wrong, he says.
Wrong.
Just wrong.
Arizona's defense is terrible.
Byron Murphy had a really good game.
Yeah.
He held
I still
Adams
think-
to what? Adams didn't get a lot,
No, Adams was irrelevant.
like
but
16 yards, I want to say. That might be wrong, but
the Rams have, if he's not shutting down Cooper Kupp, first of all, because he's going to operate out wide, so he'll be covering Robinson.
Yeah.
So he could shut down Robinson, but Cooper Kupp's still going to have 10 catches, 100 yards, 7 touchdowns, or something ridiculous.
agreed. Arizona just has this funky thing of no matter the score, they come back to make it close.
Yeah, I think the Rams are coming together. They looked much better against the Falcons. I know they let the Falcons back into the game, but I think that's one of those things where that's the Falcon mentality. And if you realize they got very lucky on a few. There's a blocked punt that they scored on for 7 of their points. If you take that away, it's an 11-point game.
Yeah. I just liked how McVay was really going through the coaching book, sweating it out with the all right, we're taking a safety, we're not risking it.
It was a goofy game. It really was.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's same with like the Cardinals got lucky with that win last week.
Mhm.
Renfro fumbles twice on the same drive. The second return for a touchdown. I think the Cardinals got lucky, and I think the Rams are better, and they got unlucky last game and still won. So 3.5 is not much.
I have to say, I'm looking at these last 2 games, and they are lock potentials, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Maybe.
Okay. Sunday night, Denver at home, +1.5 for San Francisco.
Mhm.
Denver does not look good. San Francisco is back to what they should be, which is
Mhm.
Super Bowl contenders. Now that they have their quarterback, I'm not hearing otherwise. Jimmy G should have been the QB of this team.
Yep.
Jimmy G has taken them to the Super Bowl, took them to the NFC Championship game last year. He knows the offense the best. The guys respect him the most. This is when they're at their best. And now that's going to be San Francisco the rest of the year. My confidence in picking them increases exponentially because I think they'll be improving. George Kittle should be back. I'm tempted to make it a lock, but I'm not going to. But San Francisco, I believe, has this one. Denver does not look good. There are a lot of question marks there. The panic meter should be on if you're a Broncos fan.
Jimmy G is the prototypical game manager. He is not elite. He will not go out and win you a game necessarily, but he's also not going to cost you games.
Yeah.
So I think the Niners were foolish for drafting Lance in the first place. I think they could have gotten a weapon. Imagine the team with Jamar Chase.
Mm.
I think they're in a better place right now than if they took Lance.
Yeah.
Imagine wide receivers of Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, 5 running backs that can just anyone that starts gets like 80 yards. I think they're in a way.
Or even if they just went other way and we're drafting Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Which
Sure.
Parsons went 11, but I'm saying, they had the 12th pick before they made the trade. So they could have been, let's trade up and get this guy because we think he's that special.
Yeah. So
Or
I agree.
Surtain.
The Broncos do look concerning. So
So you're also taking San Fran.
yes.
And then final game, Giants at home, -2.5 versus Dallas.
Cooper Rush, baby.
I think Cooper Rush is good. I think he's legitimately good. I'm taking the Cowboys. I
Cooper Rush
cannot
is
believe
around.
that Daniel Jones will start 3-0. Daniel Jones doesn't look great, and this is the first time he's playing a legit defense as he's going up against I would argue, the favorite of Defensive Player of the Year in Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is going to eat him up, I believe, and Giants going to have a tough time scoring. Cooper Rush ain't going to lose you the game. Taking Cowboys, especially with points.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm not changing any of my locks.
I'm not either.
To review my locks, my favorite bet is Tampa Bay -2.5 over the Packers at home. Then Philly -6.5 over the Commanders, and KC -6.5 over the Colts. Bobby has Philly as his favorite one. Pittsburgh on Thursday night, so we'll see how that one works out. And then KC as well. Game of the weeks. Bobby, what's your game of the week?
Much as I was just trashing Rodgers, I think it's Bucks Packers, just because Brady versus Rodgers, you can't not watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rodgers might be elevated. I think he might want to try to prove that he's still at the same place with Brady, and that's hard because he has no receivers. It's not exactly a slight on him, but his situation's worse. Brady doesn't have receivers himself. Evans suspended, Julio injured, Godwin injured, so Cole Beasley might have 100 yards. So,
right.
It'll be interesting to see who Brady does throw to. I think they lean on the running game. Tight ends have always been a favorite of Brady's, but I think it'll be an entertaining game.
Agreed. I'm not, as much as I want to go to the Lions game again, because that's exciting, I'm not going to do it. We've been there, done that, I proved the haters wrong, I think. So I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna say Miami Buffalo. I feel like, and I feel like it could just be a really high scoring game. The interesting storylines of, is Tua that guy? Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle putting up Madden numbers. This dominant Buffalo defense.
Stephon Diggs putting up Madden numbers.
Stephon Diggs, Xavier Howard. There's just a lot of storylines with it that I'm very intrigued by, and I'm thinking high scoring affair.
I agree.
So that's what I'm going with. But there are a lot of good games. I think Pats Ravens has the potential to be a very good game.
Usually is when those two face off.
Low key Jets Cincy could be a barn burner.
Last time they played, the Jets won. Mike White.
I unironically think Chicago, Houston, and Seattle, Atlanta will be fun. I don't care. And there's a bunch, because it's like the bad teams are playing the bad teams and the good teams are playing the good teams. So you should get some fun matchups, but that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, just hope we do better this week than we did last week.
Yeah, hopefully we don't go 1-5, and the best take is that Commanders Lions will be a good game. But yeah, Bobby, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me as always.
See you next week for this. I know baseball playoffs is getting there, so we already agreed we'll do a baseball playoffs preview.
Sounds good.
At some point. But thank you all for listening, and tune in next time.